And there will be several people from different disciplines from East Africa. So I think it's either a serving judge.
For one being representing a man for Uptown TV. You understand?
From Kenya, there will be politicians. I think even and there will be American politicians and some British politicians. They're certainly on the agenda as to whether they attend. We know that sometimes things get in the way.
Yes.
It's interesting that David Lammy, who is the UK Foreign Secretary, is listed as speaking about the legacy of the Bandung Conference.
Well, he was just now, just a few days ago, once again reiterating and drawing line under it that Britain will not pay reparations. Shame on him.
It's interesting that both in America and in the United Kingdom, you have their mouthpieces now look like us.
Wearing black skins. Yes, I know.
Yes, yes, and that says, you immediately think of the title Black Fanon.
Yeah, black skin, white mask.
White mask. Yeah. I'm not pointing any fingers, but it's kind of ironic. It's kind of.
I knew you were going to say that. Never mind. Never mind, Yvonne. I'll point. I'll do the pointing one here. Oh my gosh! All right, so Yvonne, right, I really just looking at the agenda, looking at the different topics that are going to be discussed, and I know I have the very same interest that you have, especially that forum that's going to be on the Mau Mau's. I'd like to hear what come out of that. So the conference, you're getting ready for the conference. It's today's the first, so it's a few days before it actually gets underway.
Yes, it starts this Wednesday for 3 full days. Quite intense. So I'm really looking forward to that. So 3 days from Wednesday, and then a relaxing day on the Saturday.
Okay, and you're going to be there next Sunday? Just checking.
No, I'm traveling. I'm returning back to Jamaica via London. I think unfortunately I don't think we'll be able to communicate next Sunday, but one never knows.
Don't never mind, we'll do it the other Sunday. Well, let me ask you a question though, because as you talk about traveling, sure. You make a travel to Africa sound easy. I'm telling you that. I mean, you're just coming from Ethiopia. You're back in Kenya. For those who are listening and want to do that, quickly give us an idea of what the route was like for you and how difficult or challenging, if any.
Okay, so it is challenging. As you know, I'm a dual national. I'm a Jamaican national, but also a British national. And so I have 2 passports, which sometimes can make things easier. On this particular occasion, I came directly from Jamaica to Kenya. And so that involved going via London. I looked at other routes. I looked at America, where I'd have to get a visa. But it just seemed that the route from Jamaica, Montego Bay, into London Heathrow, and then a layover of 5 to 6 hours for a flight on Kenyan Airways. So it was 2 days traveling. It is tough. It is tough. But I think, and it's very expensive. It's tough and it's expensive. But if you want to feed your mind and that's your priority, I mean, we all have different priorities in life and spend our hard-earned funds on different things. Mm-hmm. So for me, I couldn't turn down the opportunity of coming.
Although you were traveling on the British passport, do you know what it would have been like if you'd gone on any idea on the Jamaican passport?
I don't know on this occasion. I know that certainly when I went to Zambia last year to go to Zimbabwe, you do not need a visa using your Jamaican passport. So I must admit, I I haven't looked at it.
Yeah, I think it's probably similar to the British passport, and I think it's not so difficult to get to Kenya. We should put that on our agenda for those who are listening and want to. Yeah, we hear it's challenging and so on, but it's challenging to get a Schengen too and running up and down in Europe. Thank you so much, Yvonne, and I look forward to hearing more from you on the backside of this. I'm quite sure that it's going to be one of those conferences where so much will be coming out of it. So we look forward to hearing from you at the end of it all.
Thank you. I hope so.
Yeah, I do. And I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much, my sister.
You're most welcome.
All right. Yvonne Brown there, attorney at law in Kenya. She does this for us, and she takes the time to do this, and I really, really appreciate that. I'm quite sure that something else must be happening, but she took the time. And we learned, didn't we? So, the conference is underway. It's happening in Mombasa. It's December 4 to 6, and it's a Global Diaspora Forum, the annual conference organized by Bandung Africa and the Imperative Foundation. So go check it out. It's online also. Hopefully, I didn't ask Yvonne, but hopefully they are going to be streaming and doing some Zoom. I'll send her a note, and if that's happening, then I'll let you know. But you could go to their website, I'm sure, look for the Global Diaspora Forum annual conference, and it's on the different websites. So even if you go to BA Bandung Africa, you'll be able to find it. All right, 9 o'clock. The big A comes in at 10. We're stepping into the first day of the last month of this year. It's fitting to Sankofa have a look back to the Great Conjunction. Remember the Great Conjunction of December 21, 2020? We spoke about it at the time. Great Conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn in the southwestern skies. Also known as a Great Mutation, with a shifting from Pisces to Aquarius, from Earth to air. This is the age of Aquarius, they say. And it pulled the trigger of a 20-year cultural reset. The Great Reset. That ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon. I don't even know what that is about, because they announced it. Biden announced it today at the so-called Arab Spring. And we pointed out that the Arab Spring, that what happened in Tunisia was organic, because basically it was a response of a university graduate with a PhD to extreme poverty and depression and not knowing where to go from here. So it was a protest against oppression. That's what happened in Tunisia. And that was organic. That led to massive protests, burning and looting and shooting, but it was driven by a protest for the preservation of self. So that was Tunisia. And the warmongers, the war hawks, saw an opportunity, got onto it, and caused what they called the Arab Spring. It was not organic. We told you at the time it wasn't organic. That whole Arab Spring was a strategy used by the United States and Europe and NATO and them to remove from office people who they thought were not aligned to them. So their so-called enemies, people who weren't acting in America's interest. And in some cases, we don't even know why some people were removed from office. Because when Hillary Clinton suggested that Assad from Syria should be removed, we knew it was coming, because Sultana Afroz, who is a guest I'm talking about, who was the analyst looking at the situation. Dr. Sultana Afroz, at the time, she was lecturing at the University of the West Indies. She's from Bangladesh. She's gone back now. But she pointed out that obviously it's not organic. We can see how it is happening, listen to what they're saying and so on. And she was able to predict down to the T where they would go next. And she always said, like a year before it happened, she said, Syria is on this list. We couldn't see it, I remember saying to her, Syria, but why Syria? She said, yes, Syria. And she pointed out the strategic importance of Syria to the United States and the war that they were waging against the world. And then, so Obama continued George W. Bush warmongering, because once again, to say this clearly, America is not led or controlled by the person who they call president. The president is a figurehead. They can't change it. Yes, this thing they call the deep state, it exists. It's just not as secretive as they make it out to be. It's right in front of you. It's the CIA, FBI, MI6, you name them. These people who are not elected, but are secret gatherers and what do they call them? There's a name for them people. Anyway, so them, along with the bankers, in our own context, through our own lenses, and with the solutions. So we need to read some books in addition to listening, so that a document that you can read is actually a magazine that was published many years ago, coming out of Colombia. It's even from the BBC, from different multinational corporations, so-called public-private partnerships, so with government, who were doing this. They were doing this under the pretext of health, healthcare and how to restore, somebody who has a damaged limb, or, somebody who had a brain injury or stuff like that. That's how it started out. It was pretty innocuous. It was like, yeah, if we could do this. And then it moved into this sinister area where people like Peter Thiel, who has said that he has never been satisfied. He can't understand death. And he's been investigating death for a good while now. Now, he is good friends with J.D. Vance. And J.D. Vance was his suggestion for vice president to the U.S., to President-elect Trump. Back in place. The agenda remains the same. The plan is still in motion. Everything that is about to happen has already happened. Elon Musk is the chairman of Tesla. I think the meeting that that Biden had and didn't invite Elon had something to do with electric cars. So he's the chairman of Tesla and also of SpaceX and co-founder of Neuralink. SpaceX is interesting. And Neuralink is also interesting because people think that Elon Musk is working as an individual by himself, a multimillionaire or billionaire, richest man on earth. He couldn't, at no time at all, nowhere, under no jurisdiction, be doing this without the partnership, complicity, total inclusion of all of the deep state, MI6, MI5, MI15, CIA, FBI, all of the letters of the alphabet, every single one of them. You think that Elon Musk could put up so many satellites in the air? This could not, no one person can do that without the complicity. You think about it, of all of the governments, and I'm thinking the Western governments, because there are also partnerships, with the East. It is not as dire as it looks. They partner when they need to partner. So there is no big change coming with the election. The only change, and Trump has started those changes already, what is happening in Syria, I'm tying to him. He hasn't come out and condemned Biden or anyone for giving permission for that little comedian in Ukraine to fire long-range missiles at Russia. You know, I thought about this. I said, okay, so what is the next thing? Because, and when I say war, I mean a nuclear war. You know, so first they had a lockdown, and now they're provoking Putin into starting this war. And then I remembered something that George W. Bush said during 9/11, when he was waging war on the world, using the excuse of 9/11 to wage war on the entire world. He said, and I quote, "We will export death and violence to the four corners of the earth in defense of our great nation." We will export death and violence to the four corners of the earth in defense of our great nation. That's just one thing. I would encourage you, because we have a Sankofa this time here now, to go into this great reset is well underway, but we need a Sankofa to understand what's happening. We need to go back to 9/11, and we need to study the Bush doctrine, George W. Bush doctrine. That this is not the Monroe doctrine. They ain't like us. This is not the Monroe doctrine. The George W. Bush doctrine. I suggest that you go back and just read every single thing that he said, if you can, during that time. Nothing has changed. Introducing the next chapter. We're pivoting. The world is pivoting. They have pivoted to a new form of global domination, from democracy to capitalism to neoliberalism, and now to technocracy. But technocracy cannot exist without transhumanism. And this is why Patrick Wood talks about in his book, The Evil Twins of Technocracy and Transhumanism. Even when you read what those in Colombia in 1937 or the 1930s defined technocracy as, basically the science of social engineering. We're going to have to learn sometimes on here, we're going to have to give ourselves the time to understand what these people are doing. So technocracy is the science of social engineering, the scientific operation of the entire social mechanism to produce and distribute goods and services to the entire population. I am going to read it one more time, and then you tell me now why we had so many questions when Bill Gates sold off almost everything and invested in farmlands. He owns right now more than what John read about in the Revelation. Bill Gates. And he's into producing, not just producing, but creating from anything that him can create it from, food. So just like them change the definition of vaccines, they are about to change the definition of food. And we recognize this from the early 1990s, mid-1990s, when we told you what was happening with Codex Alimentarius. Remember, we interviewed Jamaica's representatives at the Codex over time, and when them couldn't take, we bother them, because never matter which government was in power, Jamaica's position on the Codex Alimentarius was always the same. We vote with America. And so they voted against our herbs and plants because America developed over time a thinking and a redefinition of herbs, natural herbs and plants, as being criminal and must be criminalized in the same way that they criminalized ganja, but worse, so that if you were drinking Cerasee tea, sooner or later you can't drink Cerasee and them something there, no? These tea that you're buying, these, because we call everything tea, these teas that you're buying in the shops and so on, in the supermarkets and so on, you soon can't get them, unless they're coming from the multinational corporations who have the patent for the herbs. I want to ask a question and I need an answer for it. There's a department at the University of the West Indies. Yes, people were telling me that you're begging for the question. People were telling me that you're PNP. If the PNP in power, and I was talking about codex, people were saying that I was JLP. If a JLP in power and I talk about codex, I was PNP. And I just couldn't get a proper answer. But now, everything is coming together. Jamaica still votes with the United States. But what hurts me more than anything, and I don't want to get emotional because we need to keep our cool when we're dealing with this thing. What hurts me though is that technocrats come and go. And this technocracy, which is the science of social engineering, the scientific operation of the entire social mechanism to produce and distribute goods and services to the entire population, cannot be done without transhumanism and AI technology and nanotechnology and biotechnology and information technology and cognitive science. They're all involved. Let me just do a disclaimer, because I am not connecting these two things. I just want some answers. In no way am I connecting these two things. Let me just make this very clear. Nigel Clark is a technocrat. When Mr. Bangarang came from the World Bank to Jamaica, and little after that we heard that Nigel Clark was going to the IMF. All of that was planned. All right. So Nigel Clark, we weren't afraid to say in this space that Nigel Clark was implementing the neoliberal agenda, that he had a mandate and he carried out that mandate. And outside of that mandate, the JLP says that, prosperity is their doctrine. Prosperity is a doctrine. Even though they are pivoting from prosperity right now, because that pivot that Andrew Holness has made is a pivot away from prosperity doctrine. But you have to look at it closely, and we'll talk about that because everything is connected. And when I say I'm not connecting these two things, I don't want to reach to the second thing yet. So that whole process that was led by Nigel Clark, that entire process in the Ministry of Finance, that process is set. It was done for a reason. Whether it was a PNP or the JLP in power, that process would have happened. If it wasn't Nigel Clark, it would be a Nigel Clark for the PNP. It would be another person who would do that very same thing under the PNP. Because that's a process. It's not just Jamaica. This is happening globally. This rollout is not a one country thing. Just like Vision 2030. Vision 2030 was conceptualized by the World Economic Forum and the United Nations. It had nothing to do with us. There was a specific reason for it. And the World Economic Forum told us that Vision 2030 really means you own nothing, you want nothing, you own nothing, and you will be happy. Well, with technocracy and transhumanism, ownership means a whole different thing. So this process that is already underway, which is the science of social engineering, is actually unfolding as we speak. So put Bill Gates, put Elon Musk, put Peter Thiel and so on, put Jeff Bezos, all of them. The technocrats have come to the fore and are leading things. Donald Trump, look at Donald Trump, good, and you'll see that he's being led. And unless there's a massive fallout with him and Elon, he's being led by the nose. Thing with Donald Trump is that there might be about 3 of him already, because this is what Elon Musk does. And Peter Thiel has said that he him looking at this thing about debt, and him not into this debt thing at all. And technocracy and transhumanism agree on this. And Peter Wood will tell you, do not ignore scientism in the whole process. Anyway, so I said two things weren't connected. The other thing is, we talk about the Codex Alimentarius. For those who have been listening to this space for a very long time, you have a pretty good idea of what this is. If you weren't, we're going to come back with it, but in the meantime, go ahead and look it up. But basically, it is determining what is food, what is not food, a global standard and a globalized standard for food. Now, that came out of the globalization process. So globalization necessitated the Codex Alimentarius, which also globalized food. That is why countries like Malawi was cut off from the United States for such a long time, and Europe and the European Union and so on, because they refused to accept genetically engineered and genetically modified foods, because they said, when these come in, they will kill our food, and then we become dependent on the food that you make, that you have the patent for, that we cannot get it unless we have the mark in our forehead. So a lot of countries, because another thing they're doing, you better understand this, they are fulfilling the Bible, These are some fanatics on the other side of the technocrats who are out to fulfill everything that they understand the Bible to mean and to say. And the information technology will ensure that you can beam anything from the sky, and the Donald Trump has named one of the biggest religious fanatics who sees the importance of rebuilding the temple and reclaiming the Temple Mount as critical and integral to Christianity. I'm talking about Mike Huckabee. Mike Huckabee is the U.S. ambassador to Israel. Write that down and figure out what that means. They are going to make scriptures fulfill. They're going to fulfill the Bible, offer them own. Them write it. Them translate the writings of the ancients, for them own way. We don't want to go off into King James now, because that's a whole other story. We'll talk about King James another day. Right. I tell you that women can do this. We complex, multifaceted, multidimensional. The bottom line is to connect the threads. So Mike Huckabee is there in Israel to fulfill Bible prophecy. There's another person who has been named to what was he named at? Pete Hegesty? What's Hegesty? What's his thing again? Now, when you want to talk about religious fanaticism, he has tattooed on his body, and he sees himself in that vein, if you hear him talk, as a Knight Templar. You know what a Knight Templar is? No, you have to go back to British and European history. Everything is connected. You also have to go back to the Ottoman history, the history of the Ottoman and Genghis Khan and them, to understand who this man sees himself as in the midst of everything. And I think he's going to be Secretary of State or Defense. I think it's Defense. But he is a religious fanatic. Nothing is going to change. The only thing that's going to happen is that we're going to see a movement, an escalation of that which is to come. Whatever is about to happen has already happened. So Trump is just putting the people in place to continue Biden's policy, which is not really Biden or Trump, but you know what we're saying. And so this is being all worked out within the new political construct, which is technocracy and transhumanism. So next chapter, we're pivoting to technocracy and transhumanism. Andrew Holness's pivot fits right into this thinking. All of it, every single bit of it. But we're going to do that, I think, next week, Sunday, because there's a whole lot to connect. So at the University of the West Indies, because we're not forgetting nothing around here. So, and I'm saying again, I am not connecting these two things. I think that there needs to be an investigation to find out if there is a connection. But we know that Nigel Clarke's wife is also an academic, a technocrat also, who is involved, whose speciality is indigenous herbs and plants and all of that. And that one of the things that she was doing on the island, according to my research at the University of the West Indies, was identifying, categorizing, codifying indigenous plants. This requires some plain speaking. And for the sake of Jamaica and Africa and the masses of the Jamaican and African people on this island, let us speak plainly. Technocracy is concerned with the control of indigenous material, whether it is the minerals in the earth or the plants, because part of technocracy's mandate is a scientific operation of the entire social mechanism to produce and distribute goods and services to the entire population. What technocracy says in this time is that this distribution must of course involve a certificate from birth to death. And so they're not so much concerned with what people call money or the fiat. They're concerned with how the technology can ensure that this distribution happens smoothly and that there is a one world order. So the technology, which is transhumanism, which is the use of nanotechnology, which is putting the biotechnology, putting the chip in your body. Master was always a tell you that. And we're not quite sure about the gene therapy that you got from the vaccines. We're not so sure about the gene therapy, because the gene therapy uses nanotechnology. A lot of people are dying, not from COVID, but if you check your friends and your families and those you know around you who are dropping dead like flies, they are properly vaccinated. I take a break. Because it's connected to what we're talking about in terms of the lyrics and the role that it played during the COVID lockdown, I want you to listen closely to the lyrics, because this is where we are, right? Let me take this from the top again. And so we just listen to this. Listen to the lyrics more than anything else. He's the author of the books I gave you this morning for the Running African Book Club, because he mentions this in the book. All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for the daily races, going nowhere. And their tears are filling up their glasses. No expression. Hide my head. I want to drown my sorrow. No tomorrow. I know it is very dark or white. It is very depressing. But what he wanted to point out was how the artist was able to capture the madness of the time, that this is a mad world. And this is basically what I am concurring, what I am agreeing with. On the other side, we'll spend some more time looking at the active transhumanists who have now come to the fore, and the technocrats who have come to the fore. You can identify the technocrats here in Jamaica. I don't have to point them out to you. There is a department of government called the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. There's a side of that ministry. Nobody's elected. Everybody's selected, but only by one person. And they are, for the most part, technocrats, pivoting to the next chapter for technocracy and transhumanism and whatever else is going to come, because transhumanism for the third world, developing countries, really is not about us leading anything. It's about a new kind of slavery. It's 8:30 and a % tariff on BRICS geopolitical coalition of non-Western countries if the group moves away from trading using the US dollar. So we expected this, but interesting. All right, so he says the idea that the BRICS countries are trying to move away from the US dollar while we stand by and watch is over in capital letters. We require a commitment from these countries that they will neither create a new BRICS currency nor back any other currency to replace the mighty US dollar, or they will face 100% tariffs and should expect to say goodbye to selling into the wonderful US economy. And a strongman talk coming from Donald Trump, and him not even president yet. He's threatening BRICS. Well, BRICS is a threat to them. Alliance is a coalition of non-Western countries that convened for the first official BRICS summit in 2009. Brazil, Russia, India, and China joined the informal group. South Africa joined a year later, cementing the BRICS name. At the 2023 summit, the group expanded for the first time in over a decade, involving Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. Here with Kwame Pianke, our global geopolitical analyst. At the same summit, the issue of de-dollarization, or reducing the influence of the US dollar in global trade, gained steam, though it's not a new idea for the group. And we had very long discussions here on this. We had a chat with Kwame about the whole BRICS summit. BRICS has no option, whether it is BRICS or whoever else can form that coalition, but there is going to be a coalition as long as these countries remain viable. China, Iran, Russia, and even Turkey, that think it is West. It is Western, moving from the Ottoman principles. That these countries, in the first place, inclusive of North Korea, I'm throwing in there, and some Latin American countries like Venezuela, well, I see what Argentina is doing, Colombia, and so on. The change is happening. They really can't stop it. I know that this threat is going to get some people frightened. Like Brazil might be a little bit tenuous, and India is going to be, having its all in a knot. And I'm not quite sure about South Africa, but we see the threat, we hear the threat, and I'd like to hear from Cyril Ramaphosa. I'd like to hear from, Putin, of course, is going to go. They're already out on a limb with what they are doing. As long as that relationship between China and Russia remains intact, then I think that there's some strength there. Not a whole lot, but serious strength, because you can't underestimate what America underestimated. The neocons, if you will, underestimated the military power of Russia recently. You saw that. We talked about that last week. And I know that they Donald Trump has a way of underestimating people. But the neocons who are running him are pig-headed. And so they just do what they want to do because they think everybody is falling over them. Remember, they are the same ones, who told us that people would be running in the streets and thanking them when they destroy Iraq and overthrow Saddam Hussein. And then they shot the scene of somebody tumbling over a little statue of Saddam, shot it very tight so that it looks like it's a whole lot of people when it wasn't more than 50 people. And then they went in and create mayhem, rape and plunder and kill. Similar thing in Afghanistan. Because this is what George Bush said. Remember, we told you earlier what George Bush said. They're going to be spreading violence and death all over the world. And they're doing that. Talking about technocracy and transhumanism, which we haven't gone into transhumanism a lot yet, we also have to look at the pillars that will hold this thing up. And we talked earlier about the different disciplines that have come together and that are coming together to make this possible. They're all together now. They have a term for it, I think. NBCIS, I think, which is nanotechnology, biotechnology, cognitive science, information technology. They have, all these disciplines have come together to ensure that what is about to happen happens. They're doing pretty well with that. We're way behind time if we're just discussing what are we going to do with AI and how to use AI and all of that. The 5G technology was rolled out for a reason. We told you that 2.5 years ago, probably more, 4 years ago in 2020, we told you that the 5G technology was being rolled out for a completely different reason than you thought it was. It had nothing, it had everything to do with the cloud. Because how do you get this 5G technology? How do you get this cloud going, this control of the human engine? Because the technocrats who wrote the first document in 1937 didn't even refer to human beings. They saw the human engine, the biological robot. And they talk about smart cities. From them time that they're talking about smart cities. The Prime Minister announced recently here in Jamaica that as far as the electric company is concerned, they're going to be rolling out prepaid electricity, and they're going to be doing some other thing else with the bill. Anybody who's ever lived in any country with prepaid electricity know that it makes poor people poorer. It creates more poverty. It is not a lie. I've experienced it. I can tell you how it goes. And a lot of Jamaicans here can tell you how that works. You have to listen to the ones who were like students studying in England who had prepaid electricity and had to change that out along the way. So prepaid electricity don't work. I want to tell you something about the prepaid electricity thing. It's not for you, the people. It's not for we, the people. It is for the electric company. Because JPS is the one that's coming out with a golden parachute. This big announcement that was made by the Prime Minister about JPS. Everything he said about JPS there has nothing to do with the people of Jamaica. It is a golden parachute for JPS. And not a parachute, a golden nest egg for JPS. Because I'm not going to golden nest egg for JPS. It is no Jamaican is going to benefit from any announcement that was made by the Prime Minister regarding JPS. Find a way to ensure that the people who live in certain area who them say them cannot collect from, that them just get them prepaid, take out the meter, get them prepaid, and they want to get it, and they want to get it for them business. But the good will suffer for the bad in that case, because not everybody in that community have that problem. You see me? So what we need is competition and healthy competition. JPS cannot continue with this monopoly that they've got on energy on this island. There has to be competition of solar energy or some other kind of energy, but the kind of monopoly that JPS has is what you have to fix. You cannot pivot to poverty. Prime Minister is talking about is so up in arms, talking about poverty and the pivoting, and the reason why you have all these people. There's so many people around the Prime Minister who don't understand, and this is a crisis, because if you you talk about prosperity. You are able to see prosperity. As I said before, he's not lying that there's prosperity on the island. The JLP is not lying. There is prosperity. As a matter of fact, from me born till now and operating and living on this island, this is the most prosperity I've ever seen. The prosperity is concentrated in a 1% part of the population among certain people alone. And no matter how you try, no matter how you broke your neck, no matter how you work hard, no matter how you hustle, you cannot break the back of that prosperity so that you yourself can access that prosperity. The only way you can access that prosperity as one of the masses of the Jamaican people who living in continual poverty is to do illegal things, is to accept if you're there somewhere, like the media, payola, if you or cash for kind, depending on where you are, or scamming in other places. And I'm not saying that any of these things should be done. I'm just saying that this is the reality. This is a reality. So it is true that there's prosperity. I applaud the Prime Minister. He has done it. Prosperity for 1% of the nation. The rest of us can only see it. And this is why you have this upheaval within the tourism industry, because the workers in the hotels are witnessing prosperity. They're seeing it all around them, but they are not able to participate or to access it. We are living in communities where we see prosperity right around, we're developing right around us. We are living in areas where right now I can stay in my yard, my house and here when every private jet come in. Private jet are coming hard all this week. A pure private jet land up a Boscobel. I'm talking about the private jet then with the engine sound rich. This is a kind of prosperity. We're witnessing the prosperity. We're seeing it around us. So what you on the one hand you have a narco state, because Jamaica is a narco state. On the one hand you have this narco state, which is an underbelly. On the other hand you have a scamming going over there. So on the other hand you have just corruption that you can use a knife and cut that the corruption that the way thick. In the prosperity, the 1%, but we cannot access it and we cannot participate in it. And this is a problem. So the pivot that the Prime Minister is pivoting, he's pivoting away from prosperity toward technocracy and transhumanism. But what does it mean for us? What does it mean for us? Because transhumanism determines or demands, and technocracy demand, that there is a slave class. Technocrats see science and technology as the answer to improve and control society. And Wood tells you, transhumanists see the same science and technology as the answer to improve and control the human condition. Either way, it is control. The technocrats using the AI and the science and the technology and the 5G and all of that, and they tell us it is to improve society. Yes, improve and control movements and how you buy and how you sell. And transhumanists see the same science and technology as the answer to improve and control the human condition. And as Wood argues, you talk about transhumanism, he says, so you have the trans, which is transitory. So it's a period between human, transhuman, and post-human. And so the next phase from transhuman is post-human. What would that look like is a question. And the answer is anybody critical thinking or deep thinking. Identified some of the most popular or well-known transhumanists. There are many, and technocrats, there are many. In Jamaica, I want us to identify the technocrats, and I want us to look within the government and the ministries and so on to see how technocrats are moved in the same way Elon Musk has been moved into the Department of Government that will be responsible for efficiency. The Jamaican government has created a Department of Government that is also responsible for efficiency. We don't know who made that up yet, or did I miss something? But we need to see who will be leading that Department of Government, who will be related. EPOC, I think it turned out to, and who are the principals and what is their thinking, because this will tell us a little bit more about the pivot. We also need to look again at the at the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. There are politicians within that ministry, but that ministry is made up of a lot of technocrats. We need to find out a little bit more about the technocrats who make up that ministry. What is their what's their connection to multinational corporations? Which multinational corporations? What's their friendships? We're going to say politics, but you understand what I mean. What's their politics? What's their science? Is it scientism, or who are they? What are they, and what are they trying to do? Because that will tell us how to respond, how to protect ourselves from what they're about to unleash on us. So Wood pointed out, let me just tell you some of the technocrats and transhumanists that are now around Donald Trump that are moving in for the next phase, because next chapter is a pivot to technocracy and transhumanism. So we have Elon Musk, who is operating like a shadow government. He is so close to Donald Trump. He advises him on everything. He takes a stage, he shares a stage. And I was saying earlier that I think he has already made 2 or 3 Donald Trump. Musk. One of the things that we did not remember is that Elon Musk's grandfather was actually the national leader of Technocracy Inc. of Canada. And that was during the 1940s when this whole policy developed. That was his grandfather who was the national leader of Technocracy Inc. Technocracy Inc. Look that up. It is still functioning. Technocracy Inc. And so we talked about Neuralink and the brain-computer interface. We've been talking about that for years. We started talking about that right inside of COVID. The minute they said lockdown, we said brain-computer interface. We said brain chip. And Elon himself has hired the neuroscientists, the biochemists, the robotic engineers. And they had a short-term plan, which everybody covered, which was to provide treatment for serious brain diseases. But the long-term plan is where we are now, which was always human enhancement. Peter Thiel created PayPal with Elon Musk in 2000. He is a conservative libertarian. He is a backer of Donald Trump. He backed him in 2016. He backed him again. He suggested the vice president, J.D. Vance. As a matter of fact, J.D. Vance is his partner. They are in this together. Vivek Ramaswamy, also part of this. He's a technocrat himself, also a transhumanist. So the people, the technocrats and the transhumanists, they have all come together now more than ever before. So Biden prepared the way. He has done what he needed to do, that administration. And now the rollout is, as I said earlier, Peter Thiel has always said that. As a matter of fact, let me quote him. He said, "I've always had this really strong sense that death was a terrible thing." That's Peter Thiel. "I've always had this really strong sense that death was a terrible thing." To learn and to find out about Peter Thiel, as I said, he has connections that are related to Jamaica. I'll leave it at that. All right. And then you have the Google founders, Sergey Brin and Larry Page, and their specific mission, and they've said it, is really to solve death. These are the founders of Google. Their specific mission is to solve death. Then we have Larry Ellison, who is a co-founder of Oracle, and his research is life extension. Life extension research is his specialty. Then we have Ray Kurzweil, who was a head of engineering at Google and he founded the Singularity University. Remember, in 2020, we spoke a lot about singularity. Some catching up is if you're not recognizing some of the terms that we're using, I think we catch up again. We spent a whole month just dealing with singularity when we talked about transhumanism. Remember that? So Ray Kurzweil is also a humanist, transhumanist, and he is the author of the book called "The Singularity is Near: When Humans Transcend Biology." The singularity is near when humans transcend biology. These are people who are operating now in a shadow government in the United States. You know, I'm just trying to put the thing in perspective to say the thing is well on the way. They've all come out and they've moved now from democracy to capitalism to whatever ism to technocracy and humanism. Pivot. Because well, I said that the singularity will represent the culmination of the merger of our biological thinking and existence with our technology, resulting in a world that is still human but transcends our biological roots. Singularity will represent the culmination of the merger of our biological thinking and existence with our technology, resulting in a world that is still human but transcends our biological roots. Let's not forget Klaus Schwab, founder and chairman of the World Economic Forum. He is the author of the book called The Fourth Industrial Revolution. This was published in 2013. We used it in 2020 in this space, in the lockdown in COVID. We read a lot from it. We discussed it a lot. He said in the book, the previous industrial revolutions liberated humankind from animal power, made mass production possible, and brought digital capabilities to billions of people. He continues, this fourth industrial revolution is, however, fundamentally different. It is characterized by a range of new technologies that are fusing the physical, digital, and biological worlds, impacting all disciplines, economies, and industries, and even challenging ideas about what it means to be human. Then he tells you that there has to be a great reset. That great reset was put into motion January 2020 with the first announcement of a virus, COVID. It was kicked into high gear in March 2020 when they told us that the world will have to be closed to business and church and work and everything for 2 years. And then it became a reality when they came up with Operation Warp Speed, and it changed the meaning of the word or the idea of what a vaccine meaning. There was a meaning, a scientific meaning of the word vaccine. For them to be able to roll out under Operation Warp Speed, developed, created and facilitated by Donald Trump and his neocons and technocrats, they had to change the definition of vaccine, use nanotechnology and other technologies, nanotechnology, biotechnology, information technology, and cognitive science, social engineering and all kind of engineering. The first people to buckle under the con were the academics. And that left the masses of the people on their own, demonstrating and fighting and saying, we do not know what knowledge is. but understanding through our knowing something not right with this and we're not going to take it. Those who said they wouldn't take it were ostracized, cussed out, became persona non grata in their own homes, in their own country. These people locked down even the church because it's scientism, and they're showing you that in the next iteration, the building is not necessary. That building that you dress up to and go on a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night is not necessary for you to be who you say you are, and they took you out of it for 2 years. The place like a sardine tin. One morning, me and my husband and my daughter go jog, and we alone up on the road from yesterday to this. And one little man say we are jogging in the middle of COVID, and the man almost have a fit. I think he was about to report us to the police. Because we said, but we can't just sit on our house and dead. We have to go jog. Listen, the hour between 9 and 10 is brought to you courtesy of Excelsior Community College, celebrating 50 years of academic excellence. Excelsior, good morning. I don't want to talk. Morning, Excelsior. So you're doing great work. Thank you so much for sponsoring this hour. Thank you so much, Excelsior. So the plays are coming up. I need some interviews with Excelsior, by the way, because I see that they're doing great work. So Excelsior Community College, celebrating 50 years of academic excellence. The sponsor of the hour between 9 and 10. Pivot to technocracy and transhumanism. I know that Andrew Holland is not feeling so good that I hijack him thing, but so all the way pivot. We're pivoting. The Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, has outlined a comprehensive strategy aimed at transitioning Jamaica towards what he says a robust and inclusive economic growth. The announcement was made in a landmark address entitled The Next Chapter, Pivot to Inclusive Growth, which was delivered at the office of the Prime Minister on Tuesday, November 19, before an audience of key business and civil society stakeholders. Now, I want you, if you saw that press conference, go back in your mind, close your eyes. Do you remember the audience? Do you remember the people who were sitting in the audience? When the Prime Minister was pivoting to inclusivity, that means including we, what did the people in the audience look like? Or my TV light too bright? What do the people in the audience, the majority of the people in the audience, look like? While the Prime Minister was pivoting to the masses of the Jamaican people, black African Jamaican people, which make up the masses of the Jamaican people, what did the people look like? These two things not necessarily connected, but I want to connect them, and I'm deliberately connecting them because them connect. We can't find an orange tree. All the orange tree them dead out. All the orange tree them dead out. Has the orange market in Jamaica been cornered? How does this feed back into the pivot to inclusivity? Who control the orange market in Jamaica? Why come all of the orange tree them dead off and the citrus tree them dead off? When last you see a lime tree, we used to see a lime tree in every yard. That's how we know things we who come from them side here. Every yard of a lime tree, an orange tree, and down a bush is a grapefruit tree or 5. All them tree they dead out. All them tree they dead out. So who making orange? Who making orange? Who making grapefruit? Who making lime? Everything in a bottle now? You cannot pick a lime or a lemon from a tree and squeeze it yourself. You have to buy it in the bottle where have all kind of additives. Everything in a bottle now? Where are they coming from? Who control it? This is how it begins. This is how it works. You see, when we talk about technocracy, that is an example. So difficult for small businesses to enter markets that are cornered by 1 or 2 or 3 families, if so much, in Jamaica. Why is it so hard? Why is it that them fight so hard to keep you out? Who control the ganja industry in Jamaica? Who control ganja in Jamaica? What the criminal them there will control ganja? Who are the criminal them will control ganja in Jamaica? Because ganja used to be a criminal thing, and dress it up and put it up and call it marijuana. I will not call it now, by the way. I don't even know what medicinal herbs are not calling it. Wash it off and pick off a seed them and put it in a jacket and tie, and now calling it medicinal herb and marijuana and all kind of something, class this, class that. Make it into a classy situation. Where the criminal them there who control the market there. When we talk about technocracy, this is what we talk about. And it's not just capitalism, because this thing is walking hand in hand with another thing. And this is why we're paying so close attention to it. It is, as Patrick would say, the evil twins of technocracy and transhumanism are upon us. Let me tell you the books again. I could go on, We must look at the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. We must look at every single technocrat. And when we say technocrat, we know we need a little man them. We have them little job as advisor to the man up a water commission, or advisor to the OUR and so on. None of them they are technocrat. I hope that we were able to say who the technocrats are through this program, but we'll continue the conversation. But we need to look at those who are transhumanists and technocrats, who them affiliated to. Where are the headquarters for their businesses? Where else the business there? What have they said over the last few years regarding economies and economics and wealth, generally speaking? Because we are going to have to protect ourselves. We have waited too long. We are too heavily indebted. We already, Nigel Clark already come and set it. It is well set, It is well set. It is well set. So we're going to have to find ways to take care of ourselves, our families, our communities, or else we become the slave class again. This thing that them call BPOs, this thing that them call tourism as it is being practiced in Jamaica, is nothing but slavery. And you all know that. The Prime Minister is tweeting, I think yesterday or this morning on one of them time there, saying that unemployment is so low. Unemployment so low because the people, some little job owner have them as slaves. That is why you're talking about unemployment so low. Shame on you. Shame on you. So you have carried the nation back into slavery, and have the technocrats, I'm telling you, that you must get rid of the celebration of emancipation, because for this thing to go through, the people them cannot be thinking about freedom. Convince them, confuse them, because you cannot convince them that they are independent. Place them for sit down in a one BPO and tell them that them okay. Make them come on your conference stage, come say, me did have to be labor right. This is what the young people are saying, me did have to be labor right. What kind of damn foolishness is that? What about you did have to be a medical doctor, or you did have to be a farmer, or you did have to be somebody who take care of your community? What do you mean by you did have to be a labor right? What is a labor right? What is a labor right? The young people coming out now talking about them have to be labor right. What's a labor right? In this day and age, our young people should be thinking about manufacturing, skills training, producing for themselves, creating their own employment, and holding the government responsible, instead of bawling about show and labor right and what the other one them over there's a name? Socialists and PNP, them not even socialists anymore. If them is socialists, would have bad and not so bad. The whole thing is a mess, and we're twiddling our thumbs when we are once again becoming slaves, enslaved. Technocracy is transforming the world. Transhumanism is transforming the people who live in the world. 5G technology that Elon Musk and them rolling out on the satellites and all of that is to control the cloud. Everybody is going to be connected to the cloud. Them start rolling them out already. The food is rolling out. Not pretty. Bill Gates is using anything he can find to make food. The GMO technology is not as simple as it sounds. They've gone way beyond that because technocrats see science and technology as the answer to improve and control the world. And then walking hand in hand with the evil twin transhumanism, seeing science and technology as the answer to improve and control the human condition. That is why them working with the biotechnicians, biotechnology, information technology, cognitive science. That is why they're all working together. Social engineering, they're all working together. So anyway, the Prime Minister, in rolling out the pivot, reflected on Jamaica's economic journey and highlighted the achievements recorded over the past decade, including what he said was a reduction in the debt to gross domestic product. And them cannot convince you, so them confuse you with all kind of numbers. And we don't really care about the numbers anymore. All we care about is whether or not we're belly full and we can send our children to school. And when we say we're belly full, your belly can full and you're hungry still. You can be malnutrition and your belly still full, big up in your neck. You notice when people are starving, the belly at the thing we just all the way up and the neck look full all the time. So the matter is not to make your belly full, but whether or not we can find nutritious food. What they have done now is to change the meaning of what food is. Food used to be, food is any solid or liquid which when eaten nourishes the body, enabling it to function properly. That is no longer food. I'm going to change the definition of that because what Bill Gates is doing and what they are allowing to come into this country cannot be called food. So you have more cancers and big pharma benefit. You have more Alzheimer's and big pharma benefit. You have more diabetes and big pharma benefit. How to consume media. How to consume media. You know, sometimes who own the media is the first question you should always ask. Who own what I am reading? Who own what I am watching? Who own what I am listening to, including this space in which I'm standing? Media literacy is important to determine how you engage with information. And we are bombarded by information. So I started off this morning talking about future shock, which is a real thing, and the symptoms of future shock. When you are bombarded with too much information and you just don't know where to go or what to do. So you just go into denial. Or you get aggressive. Or you come down with some anxiety, panic attacks, anxiety syndrome. So I don't know what to tell you to watch when you're watching global media. But be a little bit more careful. I'll just dismiss MSNBC, Fox News, CNN, CNBC, Bloomberg. They have one in color weather. Think we just go on Curiosity TV. Would I dismiss that too? Because Curiosity TV carries a lot of documentaries, but they carry the documentary from a perspective of the colonizer, the oppressor, the enslaver, the imperialist. If you notice. So you can't walk away. Oh, maybe the Food Channel? I'd recommend the Food Channel to some extent, but not all of it, because that's another thing too. So how do you consume news? Because you're going to watch news on these channels. How you consume news is, first of all, determine who these people are speaking for, who own them. Always with global media, the voice that you hear is a voice of those who own the media. Secondly, it's the voice of the advertisers. So if you notice, big pharma, pharmaceutical companies advertise hard on network TV in the United States. So just be careful. If you're watching these channels for entertainment and you're entertained by these gory things, then, you know, just know that it's just entertainment. But there's nothing there that they can tell you that is the truth from a Pan-African perspective, an African perspective. Mark every truth. Test every truth. Even my truth. Because the analysis that I gave this morning, test that. and let's talk about it. Comes to this program, I am not aligned to any political party, and regardless of how they want to paint me into a corner, when the PNP is in, they paint me in the JLP's camp, and when the JLP is in, they put me in the PNP's camp. And so I'm not a politician, but I certainly suffer the consequences like Peter Tosh. So I can declare that. I can make myself very clear. I have no political affiliation, PNP, JLP, or any other P. We need the names of all the non-politicians in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. We also need to know their politics, them technology, them science, them religion, them theocracy, the whole 9 yards. What we are concerned about is our unpreparedness and the fact that we're not ready for what is about to hit us. And just like COVID, we're going to be caught with our pants down. Once again, they are going to tell us what to do, how to do it. And worse than anything else, generally speaking, we are going to believe them. Whatever it is I'm coming with next time, they're going to be believed, and it's all going to be put into motion. If you have a piece of land, farm it. If you know a piece of land there, plant something in it. I think we have to begin to preserve our rivers because water is going to be very, very important in the next phase. Preserve your river, preserve your ocean, fight for the lakes, the rivers, the sea, the ocean, the ponds. Fight for everything. Fight for the water and fight for the land. This is where we are. We're going to have to be able to feed ourselves and to feed our children. Way for the Big A inside of a Sunday sunshine. What a planting, Big A. What a growing. But, oh yeah, I know, you've got cherry trees.
In my front yard.
In your front yard.
No
So what
backyard,
you have in your
no
backyard?
backyard cherry tree.
No backyard. I can't manage it now. Goodness gracious. Well, this thing is serious. Well, transhumanism and something we're talking about, you know. No, all right. So what about the land in country? What you have on the land up, so?
In the country?
Mm-hmm.
In terms of our food?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing major yet.
Okay.
I feel breadfruit tree.
Okay. Breadfruit a good thing. Let me turn on the mic.
Few stack of
You want the
banana.
mic? Mm-hmm.
And there was a pimento tree but it died.
Oh. And pimento a big thing too. And pimento tree take long for come, don't it?
Yeah.
You talk about a few years, well. No, the pimento tree dead unless I spray it and spray.
No.
You chop it on.
No, it just withered away.
Me never hear pimento tree dead yet. Anyway, you have to look at that.
It wasn't, I said the pimento tree, there were other
Okay.
trees there, but there were non-fruit bearing trees.
Okay. But breadfruit, I mean, no, breadfruit kind of hard for catch. It catch naturally or you plant.
No, and it was near the breadfruit tree so.
Okay. Yeah, I thank Mr. Hamilton enough for the breadfruit tree, especially the yellow heart breadfruit. But, you know, the point I make is plant and eat where you grow.
Absolutely.
So what's the latest? Big A, you're not talking to make. If you notice when you talk, no come up here saying, oh, okay, see that now. That's much better. Right, so it's the 1st of December, you ready for everything?
What should I be ready for that I'm not?
Everything will come also.
Like what?
Well, all the shows.
Or the shows?
Mm.
No, I'm always ready for shows.
Oh, which one you go?
Have I made up my mind yet?
You're not going on.
Certainly. No, man. Tell me the shows that you're referring to, and I'll tell you offhand whether or not it would have sparked my interest. Which ones?
All right, thank you, Muta. So Muta said we must watch Democracy Now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
That's a new.
no, maybe it related to what we were.
It's a documentary.
No, that's the channel, the YouTube, The blog or vlog. Democracy Now. Yeah.
I wonder if Muta is on it.
Yeah, he's been on a few, but I don't think that's the one he's telling me to watch. There's something. Oh, all right. So yeah, I'm going to. I want to go to Intimate.
Oh, all right. I'll pass on this one probably.
What, Meg?
I've been there 2 years ago.
Okay. Remember, me still in the traffic, I'm in a reject.
I was
Me
there,
still
I
on the
was there- I was
traffic.
there 2 years ago.
Yeah, me I'll try reach this time.
It was
And
quite a show too, I was telling you.
are you going to the stadium?
On the 31st?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I am otherwise engaged for that day.
Okay. So you're going to sting then?
Not made up my mind fully yet. But I'd love to see the lineup.
Yeah. As I see your diplomacy going here, so, there's a diplomatic relations, the Department of Department of Diplomatic Relations.
I'd love to see the lineup.
Okay.
And also the date, because it might clash with my with work. 'Cause you know the 26th falls somewhere in the middle of the week.
Right. That's true. Yes, because Christmas come this year Wednesday, isn't it? Is it Wednesday or
It's a
Thursday?
Wednesday. Well,
It's a Wednesday.
Based on that, I could make it. I certainly could make it, being a
Okay.
Thursday.
Where is Sting this year? Is it up same place?
Jam World, it has
Jam World.
returned
It
to
is-
its not the original home, but it has returned to the place it has called home for many years.
Okay. Well, I noticed that we don't have. Well, is it me then?
What I noticed is that there are a lot of, and I mentioned this to you some time ago. I see a lot of artists keeping their own shows.
Right.
Right. And the effects of that is going to be left to be seen. But I know Assassin is keeping his own show. This
Okay.
year. There was
Okay.
talk of Bounty Killer keeping his own show. I haven't seen much of it since the announcement. But those are two artists who, are pullers and pleasers.
Right.
And they by themselves can pull a show. I see where Massacre is headlining a show on the 1st of January. as well.
Okay.
So
Okay. Because I was saying, normally you have a whole lot of shows, and these are usually small shows. Well, and that's been happening like for about 5 years
They
now.
used to happen, no man, longer than that. They used to
No
be,
longer than that?
They used to be what they call a silly season. And they used to find artists that are booked for many shows across the
Right.
whole spectrum of the Christmas season. Those shows have gone through the window. They have gone the way of the black and white TV. But
Lord of mercy.
the
The black and white TV.
and the big back TV to buy them.
And the big bag TV.
Yeah, we got the big back TV.
Smart TV, and people not gonna watch TV anymore.
Well, probably I should say they have gone the way of television.
Of television, exactly. Yeah. A lot of people know about it. You watch TV?
Yeah, I do.
You actually have a TV?
Yes.
Okay. You have a radio?
Yes, but I don't play. That I don't play.
Right.
It is
You
there-
don't
it is there-
remember how
it
we
is
turn
there
it
as an
on.
ornament.
Right, yeah, like how you turn this thing on.
Right. No,
Really?
and no, I won't digress. But
Because we work in radio.
No,
but we
no,
are mainstream alternative radio, so you can get away anyway.
right. I'll just tell you real quick. There was a little kid who came by my house the other day. Not the other day, a couple of years ago. And this is a savvy kid. He came in with his headphone over his ears,
All right.
listening to his iPod.
Yes,
and
yes.
everything. And he saw my radio and asked me what was it.
And you told him it was?
Eh? I told him what it was, and he asked me what the turntable was. I had a turntable right beside it, and I explained to him what it was, and he asked me, "What does it do?"
Oh, Father Abraham, what we Christians are who lend out money gratis.
Oh yeah, I said, what does it do? Right, I know, and I said, this is a kid who download him song, on his iPod. So I'm very savvy. He's not a stupid kid, right? But he's
Yeah.
just never seen one.
Because it's a whole different ball game. It's like you if we have to keep up with these children because what my daughter can do is not easy enough, because last night I wanted a book to read and
You got an audio book? Well, there you go.
you know, it is just out of this world what they know. You know, they're born into the technology. And so that some of the things we're talking about, like transhumanism or so, you know, mean nothing to them, you know. It's like, but yes, if we can augment with brain.
Them understand it far better than we do.
Yes.
Yeah, because they live it.
And maybe it will help for us right too. If we're not careful, because them figure they can augment them brain to do other things, they're gonna want to do it.
Of course, but that's a long-term plan, I'm sure.
Yes, it is. Goodness gracious. I saw I relieved DJ Shane this morning, not Shane Clark, DJ Shane.
Unstoppable.
Right, and so I have my theme on CD. So him had the CD looking at it like it was something alien, like, what we do with this? Where do I put it? So I had to come him, now which one are these?
Right.
And I had to come and show him which one. And then in conversation I said, then which one of these played?
There you go. There you go.
This is serious.
This is a competent disc jock.
Yes. Him don't have nothing to do with CD. Him holding it. I said to him, you're holding the CD like how we used to hold vinyl after vinyl go to style. Like you come in and you say Bob Clark with the vinyl and I say, what that?
With a scorn almost, yeah.
Or A-track.
Right.
This is crazy, man.
Yeah.
So
yeah, man, but back to the shows though. There used to be a time when there were back-to-back shows, even in the same era. Kingston was flooded with them, and you found that they had extensive lineups. You know, 8, 10, 12 top acts. The truth is that one, there are not many top acts now that will pull people, right? And you know, of the same kind of magnitude. We're still depending on a Bojo Banton to fill the stadium and to fill up down a Grizzlies.
Richmond, yeah.
Right. We still don't have that kind of act in this time. That we are probably a few hundred that we pull and a few thousands, but you know we're still depending on you know, the vintage acts to do that.
True.
You know.
True.
And you know how much longer can they do it, really?
True.
You know, and a lot of them, you know, would have lost their steam and can't pull it again in this time.
Yeah.
But the relay should have been passed on, where you know the current act should be able to.
Let me ask you something.
These numbers,
what role do you think that, if any, because there might not have been any, or connection between COVID lockdown and how the music survived in terms of the longevity of acts? I'm thinking about people like Coffee. Like Coffee came out just a little bit ahead before COVID, and then we come out of COVID, and
there's a new stream of acts. You know what I mean?
And a whole new sound. So the sound that could come about Coffee had, that kind of sound that she was on.
No, man, but that sound was pre-COVID, you know.
I know, but you come out of COVID outside of those sound, and then it seems as if correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not sure, but what I've been thinking about is, did she struggle to regain a sound, to get a new sound? Or did she need to get a new sound?
No, I think Coffee had other issues apart from just the sound. You know, I think perception and imagery was probably part of the whole.
But even internationally?
No, not internationally. I thought you here on the ground.
Well, here too, but you know, normally sometimes you can come international and come big back here, so you know, you make it like Omi. Omi, remember Omi never?
Yeah, man, Omi.
But so I was wondering though if, you know, there was such a, in terms of the frequency, because you know we say energy, frequency, vibration, but in terms of the frequency of the music, post-COVID and pre-COVID, if you look at it like
I think the evolution was real before though. Before it has been magnified since COVID, but it was there. It was there before COVID, and
it was always leading to this space.
Yeah, man, it was
COVID
always
just kind of escalated.
Right, it was always leading. It was always leading here, and
yeah, you've been saying it for true.
I am hoping that it will also lead us out, because we have not seen the benefit of this transitional phase that we are in, and I'm hoping it's a transitional phase.
Yeah,
that we don't, that we are not stuck in this place, because it is not really bearing no fruit.
That's it. I mean, when even me I take such note of it, you know. But I notice this, and I maybe I'm late to the party because you've always been talking about it. But it is stark to me now that this is where we are. I'm looking at, you said, as usual, looking to the same people and the vintage artists, more or less, to kind of hold.
Especially when it comes to live shows. Especially when it comes to the live experience.
Yeah.
We still are hanging on to what we know are command performances, and it is the vintage acts, by and large, that seem to deliver on that front.
True. What is the solution?
I don't know if a solution is what the question should be, though. Maybe it is we who need to adjust. As you just said, the children of this generation, they take it up for the norm. So maybe it is we need to start to appreciate.
Oh, you mean move with the times?
Move with the times and to appreciate
Stop
the things
harping.
that they're doing.
Okay, so in a hanker after the old times, like those are the olden days. Then
right.
Move with the TikTok generation.
We probably
but that is sad, biggie.
If for us,
I can't manage that.
For us it will be, but for them who have been born in it and steeped in it, it is par for the course.
I get the point you're making, and it's a brilliant point to be fair, because when you think of it, we're holding on to something that is dying. But do we see, is this a global trend or is it more with us?
It is a global trend, but probably we are moving at a faster speed than the rest of the world. Seeing that, for many reasons, it is easy for you to hold on to something that is dying if you have an audience to support it. The mass, the population of, say, the US can afford to hold on to a culture that is dying because you have 50 million people that's supporting it, even though 50 million people is a small percentage of the market.
I understand. Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Totally. That's a brilliant point.
But our share, our small size doesn't support the numbers.
What about stuff like reggaeton? Because I'm watching this youth who's singing from the balcony, and I'm thinking millions of people, and this is reggaeton.
Once again, the South American market is huge. We can't even begin to think of the numbers. Situation.
Boy, I'm going to leave it aside. Because it is, for me, in a way, it is sad, because what is it being replaced by is the question. I can't even grasp what has replaced it.
It has been replaced by things that you and I don't understand or even appreciate.
Like what, sir?
The trap dancehall and this drop trap or whatever them call it.
I'm going to go celebrate my birthday.
Because you have a new birthday?
No, yes, because after this argument this morning, after this conversation, I mean, for the first time in my life, I feel old. Because I don't know the things that but for the first time since I've been in radio, I felt like, okay, we need a paradigm shift. In terms of understanding what's happening with the music business.
Maybe it's that we need an alternative reality.
We'll call Elon Musk for that.
And that alternative reality, music of the 90s is still the big thing.
Right, because there's a promo on here the promo on here, the Monday the thing Clover them program, and the promo one and the old the 90s music upon it. I mean, as the sweetest thing to me. I mean, I am dancing like crazy. I want the promo to
we
go.
Probably need to live in that alternate reality.
But it's how much away, because I think it's enough away. Yeah. So, what for we all this? You see,
a lot of things are, it is interesting times, because what is happening is that a lot of us, because now we are living longer, we are now more active, and when you expect somebody to to expire when them reach 60. Them just start a new life.
I feel like a 40, and that's the thing.
So now them still want to go out, them still want to go party, them still want right. So now we have to now carry their reality parallel to this new reality, to what the 20s and the 25s are doing.
Right.
So we now have to live in that reality while they're living there.
I want to say something finally. When we were just coming into radio and we were in our 20s, there were lots of oldies parties with the music that, we did people like me as Kaufman knows that you were playing some of those music even though you were pretty young.
Bob Clark was the specialist.
Right.
In that.
So what might be missing is that we in the 50s refuse to age and wanting what we know from whenever, not recognizing that we supposed to have got the oldest parties, but we don't see that yet. Somebody ever gonna knock you over the head with that? Like, you supposed to be good and because me not
because we don't consider it to be.
No, exactly. So if we call it something else.
You have to call it something else. If we call it...
Even if it's a retro, me not go. No, we find it. Call it something and then we begin to have those parties. This is how we see it. And then we're good.
No, and I think there are persons who will accept the fact that they are getting a little bit older, and if you call them elder, like how them call me sometimes.
No. Do not do it. Do not do it.
Right?
Yeah, right.
So we have to just accept the fact it is what it is.
Right.
And we will prove in action that we are not expired, as they would like us to believe.
But Biggie, don't you think a lot of the artists who came with us when we were in our teens and 20s, they were coming with us to even though they might have been a little bit younger, but not much younger, like the Budgers and the Bounties and the Beanies and so on. They must still around dancehall.
Yes, but as I said to you, you're underscoring what I'm saying. They are ramming the dance halls, but by who? By our generation.
The same one. Oh, yeah. We all listen. Oh, we're good then.
Right. So I'm saying, so it is a parallel.
Yes.
Situation.
Yes.
Because
I understand now when you say the alternative.
Yeah, man. It's a parallel. So the crafts and the Maladans have them space. Right. And of course, and the Bushes and the Beanies will also have them space.
Goodness gracious, boy. I mean, it's come to this. This is, let me just say hello, good morning to everybody born in the 60s.
And this is not a promo for the space I'm about to say, but there's a recent venue that was created in St. Ann on the Draxall Strip that was catered for the very same person.
Don't put your point on me.
No. No, I'm pointing on you. I'm pointing on you to say anything that you are.
So who cater to?
No.
Who cater to?
To the Beanie and the Bounty generation.
Oh, easy, You just got out of that one. The Beanie and the Bounty generation. Big up to the Beanie and the Bounty generation. Right? And Bushu Banton. Big up to them generation there. Anthony B and them man them. Anybody else will leave out?
Vibes Cartel is a part of that generation.
Shabba Ranks and them man there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he's a little bit earlier than them, but.
Well, look a bit earlier.
Yeah, but still in the same part.
Right.
People would consider Vibes Cartel to be part of that generation too.
No, he was much later.
Not much, He transitioned right after, because remember
Bounties, sure.
Yeah, man. Can remember they had a lot of conflicts in terms of the
I remember I used to interview him on musical and entertainment.
In terms of the hierarchy. Who did better than who and who should have did give who the kingship and
didn't he start out in a group? Which is why I'm named Vibes Cartel.
Yeah, man. It was the Cartel was the name of the group.
So who are the other members? What them there?
Gandhi was a member of that group.
Oh, true.
And I can't remember the other person right now. But
you are so right. Mm-hmm. I remember when he left that group and we had the interview with him. I asked him then, what's going to be your name now?
Adi Banton was his name, as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah. Anyway, there's so much time going on. Biggie. Look, we're going to have this conversation another time. We're going to do a vlog.
Yeah, Adi Banton was Vibes Cartel's name before he became Vibes Cartel.
Yeah. Well, big up all the man that we come from the 90s. man like Everton Blender, man like Tony Rebel, man like Sizzler Kalonji, man like Buju Banton, and who me I left out? Sure, Beanie Man and them, Beanie Man and my husband. Big up all them man there. And like woman like Lady Saw.
Frisco Kid, Low Culture.
But you see Fargo?
No, you don't know. We don't see it.
Red Rat on them man there. Come true.
Yeah, man. Goofy, Red Rat, Hawkeye. Yeah, man.
What do you want to sing? Ghosts on them man there?
Ghost. Yeah, a whole lot of them.
So, see them. We're going to leave it right there, so, on a high note. So, we're going to have a big party with all of the names that we just called. A stage show this. One night only. Big A, big God. Thank you so much for listening.
For one being a representing a man for Uptown TV. You understand?